Welcome back, Assembly members. Welcome, new observers. Hello, everyone. We've got some new observers, everyone. Say hello to the observers. There you go. Excellent. Good. We've got a couple of new note takers as well. Say hello, new note takers. Just excellent. Good. Okay. Thank you for yesterday. Thank you for coming back in the rain. At the end of yesterday's session, we asked you to reflect on what you'd heard and the things you'd seen, and we had a look through those notes last night. And it's really interesting, the things that people were telling us. What really came across is that it's a complicated issue. Okay? Unsurprisingly. Look how many panellists we've got this morning for the first session. It's going to get more complicated before it gets simpler. Also, I think the seriousness of the issue came across. People realised that this is something that's urgent, and interestingly, that we think we should be a little more ambitious generally than the 2050 target that the government is currently aiming for. But there was a little bit of hope as well. I think there's a sense that it is tackleable if we get our act together and try and do something, which I thought reflects well on our positivity and optimism. Lots of other interesting things, and we'll talk about some more of that as we go through the course of today. We talked about waste reduction in buildings yesterday. We're going to talk about a couple of other themes as we go through today. First up, we're going to talk about transport. All these guys are going to tell you about transport. We've got a presentation and then lots of different speakers. We'll take our time over this session, as you can see. This will take us up to about 11:30 or thereabouts, maybe a little afterwards. We'll have our coffee break. You all know the routine. Back here after 15 minutes. Thank you very much. We will then talk about biodiversity and offsetting, something that came up a little bit yesterday, but we'll talk about it in a bit more depth. We will then have our lunch break upstairs, as before. We'll come back and talk about renewable energy. That's another big meaty issue to get to grips with, so we'll spend a bit of time on that. We'll have a coffee break, and then we'll come back just for the last sort of hour or so and reflect on everything we've heard, because that'll be the full 2 days of what's this all about, here's the information, what do we do about it? So give us a little time to reflect on that, and then think about what we're going to do in the second weekend, when it really is over to you guys to start thinking about making recommendations on what should be done in Oxford about tackling some of these issues. So you will have to get your thinking hats on a little bit in the second weekend. Good. One thing, we had a couple of questions about the building, about the venue we're using today. So I thought I'd give you some information. It's designed to be a pretty sustainable and environmentally friendly building. There's lots of solar power panels on various bits of the building which are used to supply energy for the building itself, and any overflow from that goes into the national grid. There's thermal water heating. We talked about some of these issues yesterday, if you remember. Thermal water heating and ground source heat pumps that supply up to 70% of the heating needs for the building. There's all sorts of, if you can see the parkland outside, there's lots of biodiversity out there as well. So it is a building that sort of tries to meet some of those, and tackle some of those issues that we talked about yesterday. Good. Quick reminder of how we do our conversations. Keep it relaxed, keep it informal, listen to other people's views. You will hear things you disagree with, both from some of our panellists and other people around the room. That's fine. That's the point of the exercise, is to hear that sort of challenge and listen to other people's points of view. But let's be respectful again, please. It was all very polite yesterday. I really enjoyed how everyone interacted and got along, so that was nice. And again, if we can avoid talking over one another, if we can let other people have their viewpoints, your moderators, as you now know, will make sure that you get your chance to speak and make your point. We've got plenty to get through, as you can see. It's not quite as intense as yesterday morning, but we had to rattle through quite a lot of stuff early on. This gives us a bit more time to spread out and think about some of the issues that certainly the guys are going to talk about in a second. Right, over to you. You're on new tables, or some of you. You'll have new assembly members to meet and talk to. This is your chance to do that.